Hundreds of years ago, the earth saw the rise of mysterious beings that would never be seen again. These sinister creatures hide a very dark divine origin, condemning many with their existence. Closely related to the origin of all evils and for many others, the earthly heroes, the Nephilim, a mystical story hides the Book of Enoch about the Nephilim. In these stories, Enoch describes in detail the origin of all evils and sins, and of the terrible corrupt wicked of the earth. Enoch was very famous for interpreting dreams and for having very accurate visions. One day Enoch would have had several visions in his dreams. Many of them prophesied the coming of the Son of God among humans. Furthermore, Enoch in a deep dream had the most revealing vision of all and addressed his people saying, "You will have no salvation. All your life will be an eternal curse, where your life will end, but destruction will be multiplied. And for the righteous there will be peace, tranquility, light, and joy. The righteous will be those who will be given on earth, while for you the wicked there will be a curse. The elect will enjoy wisdom and will not sin. They will be wise and humble." Enoch assured that God, through his dreams, was in constant communication with him, and that he also entrusted him to give certain messages and orders from the Most High to the prophets. Mankind was populating the earth, and men and women were coming to life through an act of love, thus multiplying and bringing to earth beautiful women. Women so pure and beautiful that they were called divine love, since their beauty was so stunning. On earth all was going well, for with the prophets making known the divine laws, the earth provided and nature took its course, providing peace and joy in families. In heaven, God had arranged for the earth to be constantly monitored. God asked that they control and watch over human acts. Since he was the creator, therefore, the divine law had to be complied with. The watchers were angels who were dedicated to follow up the acts of men from the heavens, and concurrently descended from above to deliver messages from the Creator to the mortal inhabitants of the earth. And likewise they were the ones who delivered all the information of humanity to God. Thus the angels watched the men all the time, and suddenly, very anxiously, the watchers looked and looked at the beautiful daughters of men. They watched them with desire and lust. No doubt the watchers had deep feelings for the beautiful women of earth. Clearly, the feelings that the celestial watchers possessed at that time were totally punishable by divine law. However, the desire was so great that one day those celestial beings agreed to descend to earth and take possession of the maidens. Among murmurs they said among themselves, "Let us go and choose women from among the daughters of men." Many others said, "We will beget children with the beautiful women of the earth." Semyaza, leader of the guardian angels, proposed to make a promise and convinced everyone to commit the sin punished by God. Semyaza told them, "I fear that you will not want to comply with this action, and I will be the only one responsible for a great sin." But the other angels were very excited by such a proposal, and then replied, "Let us all take an oath, and let us all commit ourselves under an anathema not to turn back." At the top of Mount Hermon, under anathema, they swore to fulfill their task. They pledged themselves together and so descended. The obscenity had blinded them, and together they all agreed to descend to earth. Together with Semyaza, 200 vigilant angels in total descended to earth. Those 200 celestial beings had organized themselves in groups, and each one now had its own leader. They quickly went and focused on the search for women, for their main objective was to relate and have offspring with them, just like the men of the earth. And so they did. All the guardian angels had obtained beautiful women and gladly, flattered the maidens of the earth accepted to join the divine beings. Many decided to make those magnificent and slender women their wives. The angels were now the protagonists of a great sin that would condemn them for all eternity. Without knowing it, their lasciviousness did not allow them to continue with the arduous work that God ordered them to do. Thus they spent long periods of time with those who were now their wives and taught them many dark secrets of the heavens. And above all, they endeavored to teach them witchcraft and sorcery. The women, thanks to the angels, had learned beyond what they could imagine, for now they could obtain whatever they wanted by the little divine power given to them by the angels. With them, the daughters of men were more powerful, for they learned about plants, root cutting, magic, witchcraft, and the dark arts. Despite being considered a great sin, the angels continued to teach their women. In time, the angels had succeeded, for their wives were now expecting children and would soon see their offspring born, not knowing what would befall them next. The strong women gave birth to somewhat strange creatures of unusual size. Even so, they were raised on earth, and all their childhood they caused little damage, since their needs were so great that their mothers did not supply. Therefore they went out to look for their food, causing much fear in the people who saw them. But until then, their actions were tolerable for humans. Years went by, and they grew so much that they became giants, 6 meters tall, and their voracity was uncontrollable. They went out in search of food, and the men could not satisfy their hunger. The giants devoured all the effort made by the men, and every day the work of the people was finished. One day when they went to the field to plunder the food, they devoured all the beasts they found, leaving a couple of them. Unfortunately, the people were suffering. They were starving, since they knew that the giants were very powerful beings and they could not defeat them. The only way out for humanity was to beg to God, to beg for help and salvation to the Creator. They cried out for their prayers to be heard, but unfortunately, the Watchers did not take the message to God, since all that was a product of the terrible sin they had committed. Besides, now they had children and they did not want to hurt them, even though their children had already claimed many lives on earth. The giants were invading more and more. The people had no food or animals to supply the colossal giants, and this time the satiety dish for them would be the men themselves. The giants, also called Nephilim, whose term is associated with these because it would be translated as those who make fall or the fallen ones.